Okay, I've placed the wax up back into the Typodon for the first time in a while. At this point, I've just been kind of eyeballing things. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you do that. I would say put it back in and take it out a couple of times so you can get a feel for where you have the cuss tips, the embrasures, the contacts, where you have that mesial pit. Once you do this a couple of times, you start to get a feel for that. But it would be a good idea to enter this in. So the next thing I want to do is make sure I have the height of contours correct, make sure I have the embrasures correct, clean up the occlusal table, and obviously check occlusion. So I think I'm going to be high, again, on this articulator. The occlusion is a little high on that distal marginal ridge. Also, you can see on the distal buccal cusp, I'm hitting outside on the buccal side of the occlusal table. My height of contour is also off, right? Like it's too bulked out here anyway. I don't know if I'm going to get a contact there without building this cusp up too high on this particular Typodon, but I do still have a contact on the mesial buccal cusp inside the occlusal table, and I have one in the central groove, and I have one on the distal for, again, this particular one where it was kind of built up higher. So I don't really want to mess with those areas too much, but I do want to clean up the rest of this occlusal and some of the heights of contour. And again, I kind of purposely built this out a little bit more than I wanted, although I probably do need to add wax at the gingival just to kind of seal things up here. So first thing I'll do is remove some of that excess wax from this distal buccal cusp. Because clearly that was something I could see while checking the occlusion. And again, I want to make sure the height of contour is in that gingival third. We can see right now it isn't. You can see I'm under contoured in the gingival aspect. I haven't added any wax to that area yet. I did do a little bit on the lingual in order to kind of seal that off, but I do not want my height of contour on the lingual in the gingival third. I want it at the junction of the occlusal and middle third. So I'm going to remove some of that wax, just make sure that it's smooth there. And I'm going to slowly work my way up to getting the height of contour in the correct location. So for this portion, I'm going to place the medium-sized tip on again. I don't know how much more I have to add occlusally, but I might have to switch back and forth between these tips, but it's going to be somewhat inefficient to have the smallest tip on here when I'm trying to adjust the heights of contour. So we're going to go back to this middle tip. And you can see if we look at the contralateral, which is kind of what we're going to base some of this wax up off, you can see the larger lingual embrasure relative to the buccal. You can see where this lingual cuss tip is relative to the buccal, how we have this slight angulation from cuss tip to cuss tip. I probably do want to add a little bit of wax to the mesial lingual line angle as well, just to kind of close some of that external portion of the lingual embrasure as well. And then again, add to the gingival because I want to improve my height of contour on the buccal side. One thing you might notice too, looking at my occlusal portion of the wax up, I'm not worried or even trying to create, worried about or trying to create any type of like secondary or tertiary anatomy. It's unnecessary, right? Like, it might look really pretty, it might make you feel better, but you're probably going to do it wrong and eliminate some of the anatomy that you actually want in that area by trying to create it. And a patient's not going to know if there's, secondary anatomy kind of running up the grooves. I would say for your wax ups that you do, especially for the practical, if you have time at the end and you want to go in with a fine little instrument and pick away at some extra anatomy, feel free, but it's, again, not necessary to do. And really, a lot of times when students do try to do that, they end up creating things that don't look like a tooth anymore. So again, really, really over bulked in this area. I'm definitely adding excess, and then I can remove from that. Again, another area I thought I needed a little bit more was this mesial lingual line angle. So I'm going to start on the mesial, or on the lingual, bring it to the mesial. And I have clear excess now in those locations, but this will now allow me to carve back and kind of finish this wax up.
Just had a patient just called me that I was supposed to do interims on, and she had like a few teeth in the anterior left and then some old like flexi partials.
Yeah.
And she had a broken tooth, and I built it out of nothing, and I made it look so nice. Like, it looked like her other teeth. So it was so nice. And after I did that for her, I haven't heard from her in like 4 months. And she just called me wanting to move forward with treatment, all this, yada, yada, yada. And then I've been going back and forth with her because she hasn't paid for anything yet. And then I finally she's let it slip that the build-up that I did, I basically did it on nothing. It was like on a broken root. It finally fell off like I told her it was gonna. And I'm like, okay, so this is why you're frantic, and I haven't heard from her since March-ish. So yeah.
Your temporary work is too good sometimes. That
Yeah,
happens.
exactly. I was hoping that was gonna hold for like 2 weeks. Yeah. And it held for like 5 months, and I'm sure if that was hanging on, I would never hear from her.
I did years and years ago. I still have the patient. I did this like build up, and I told them, "You definitely need a crown. I don't know how long this build up's gonna last." It is
Still there?
in there.
Yeah.
And every time they come in, they like brag how they beat the system.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. I mean, it looks good. Like, I guess I don't need to do a crown if it's been 10 years now. But
Literally, I guess it worked. Yeah. Same situation, but now she's one of those people though. Now it's like now. Can you get me in next week? And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, It's not really even a this semester thing, to be honest. And I've already done 3 arches of interims, and it's like, realistically, it's better off going to like a D3 that needs it. You know, and it's just frustrating.
Right. So now that I've carved away and gotten my height of contours a little bit more appropriate, and have my lingual embrasure correct, or a little bit better now, and the contact and the buccal embrasure and my occlusal contacts are still there. The last thing I want to do is, reestablish some of the things, make sure my buccal groove is correct, maybe open up that gingival embrasure just a little bit more, finish this restoration, make sure I don't have any interferences during the excursive movements, again, on those lingual cusp. I do want that mesiolingual cusp to be tall, but I don't want it to be so tall that it hits in canine guidance, so we can see I have some clearance there as well. So I am going to, again, pause the video, and then we'll go through some of the finishing steps.